Hey, what is going on with y'all, man? It is Black Balloon. Now I'm coming back with another video, so y'all already know what's going on. Alright, y'all. Now, as y'all can tell by the title of this video and the guy on the screen, today we are going to get into the most recent interview from prison that Suge Knight did on the PBD podcast. But it's a pretty popular podcast here on YouTube, and they got a chance to do an interview with Suge Knight from prison, right? So a couple of people requested for me to take a listen to the interview, which I listened to the full hour-long interview. And since I've been, reacting to clips from Jaguar Wright's most recent interview, I figured we'll go ahead and tackle this one as well. Now, I picked out 2 clips from the interview that I figured would kind of go in line with what we've been talking about on the channel lately for us to react to and get y'all opinions, right? Now, we all know Suge Knight has been in the middle of just about everything when it comes to the East versus West Coast beef back in the 90s. Pac, Dr. Dre, Eazy-E, Ruthless Records, even goes to Diddy, which I don't think they were much of friends. He even said they wasn't as well. But, he had a lot to say in the interview. He kind of made sure he didn't answer certain questions to his, full knowledge. The guy was actually asking him straight up questions like, do you know who killed Biggie, or do you know who killed Pac? And, he didn't give you the answer that you really wanted to hear. He did talk about Diddy and why Diddy became Diddy, which I do want to get into that clip first. He also talked about Dr. Dre, or did Dr. Dre try to get Eazy-E murdered? Now, we all know Suge Knight is a very big piece into why Eazy-E was sacrificed and why they killed him with an injection of AIDS. Suge Knight even admitted it on that late night, I think that Jimmy Fallon show back in the 90s. It was like 20 years ago. Y'all remember that clip? We can throw that clip in here real quick just for some context.
This is a new thing, right?
Yeah.
See, if somebody gonna do something about it,
Right.
technology is so high, right?
Right.
So if you shoot somebody, you go to jail forever. So the kids, you don't want to go to jail forever, right? So
Right.
they got this new thing out there. People sell them all the time. They got this stuff they get blood from somebody with AIDS.
Yeah.
And then they shoot you with it.
Oh,
so
well,
the
that
death
seems
don't happen.
bad.
That's
Yeah.
a slow death.
Yeah. Yeah.
An easy thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, no. Okay.
Way to lighten the mood.
Wow.
But we all know that was basically just what we were talking about with Takeoff. It was labels beefing, Suge Knight trying to take Dr. Dre. And he even said it in the interview that he just did. He said, I could take your artist and make him even famous than the label that had him was, trying to do. Because that's what he said he did with Pac. And Eazy-E, we all know, Eazy-E wanted to kill Suge himself. He didn't want to get him killed. He wanted to kill him. But supposedly, he was talked down. So without getting to all that, y'all, I start getting to ranting because I've covered a lot of this before on my channel. We'll go ahead and jump into this first clip.
Did you notice anything around Diddy where you said this is a little bit, obviously there's a woman, you're having a good time, you're partying, you're doing your thing, but did you ever see anything where it was out of line where you said, I think this guy likes men, or I think he likes certain things that's a little weird?
Well, all due respect to Puffy, you got to realize one thing. He didn't start off like that. I'm quite sure somebody taught him that, and that's more deep in the industry. You guys who got involved with a lot of people who was their mentors, instead of having a guy to mentor your own father, they was having these guys they mentored. And when that happens in the industry, it was done to them, they do to the next person. So I felt that Puffy was a regular, normal guy. And then when he started hanging with the guys in the industry, they did things to him, and then allegedly he did things to Usher. It goes on and on. But we got to stop this pointing the finger at the person who gets caught with their hand in the cookie jar. Where did it start from? But see, people don't want to touch on those angles that they started being the major executives who run these labels. So you guys want to speak on the people who got thrown under the bus, the Sacrificial Lamb.
Okay, well, that's actually very insightful for you to give that perspective. So if you're saying what Diddy did to Usher or what Diddy did to Bieber, that we've seen these videos, not necessarily what he did, but the stories where he's living with them at 13, if he was their mentor who was Diddy's mentor? We know some of the big names. I'm just curious if you have any names. You don't seem like somebody.
Well, for number one was Clyde Davis. And you got to understand one thing. If Death Row, when I started Death Row, you got to remember one thing. I didn't have no co-founder, nobody else. So I started that company on my own and grabbed Dr. Dre. At the end of the day, it was like this. When you have, say, Universal is one big company. Doug Morris is the man at the time. Jimmy Iovine's in. If Doug Morris give Tuffy a deal worth a whole lot of money, and the album didn't recoup, otherwise basically like flop didn't recoup, they're not going to give you no new money if they don't recoup the old money. But Puffy was able to go to the same umbrella and go to Jimmy and get just much even bigger check that Doug gave him, even though it have not recouped. Only certain people can get these type of favors. Now, in my situation, I didn't do anything to lose my company. I didn't do anything illegal to get my company taken away from me. They was able to commit fraud for my company, but it ends up to the hands of people who want to buy my company for $500 million, $700 million. I kept saying no, and then turn around, they can get block everybody and end up getting it for what, 20 or 30 million, which is crazy. If you add all that type of stuff up, and you'll see how the industry been built on the secret rooms. The people who don't participate in the secret room is the people who later on get burnt. The people who participate in those rooms, they continue to grow. Even when they get caught, they're not really caught. Because obviously, Puffy knew they was coming to raid. The security wasn't there. He used to have like 4, 6 Muslim guys doing security. They wasn't there. A lot of people wasn't there. How do people know all these things? It wasn't just a coincidence. You know? So it's easy to point the finger, but let's look at the whole thing.
Now, what was interesting about that clip was him talking about the people that influenced Diddy to become the way that he was. And he said that Diddy started off as a regular guy to him. So I remember when this whole Diddy thing came about, a lot of people was bringing up Clive Davis, you know, because he's someone that mentored Diddy and taught him the industry, basically. And that's definitely a good point. It's a good way to think about it because, you know, they all learned this from the ones that was doing it before them. You know, Clive Davis has dealt with a lot of artists, and we all know he's basically the spawn of the devil himself, right along with Berry Gordy, Tommy Mottola. You know, Michael Jackson spoke of him with Sony Music. So we know Clive Davis has been behind a lot of evil things in the industry. Whitney Houston, Jennifer Hudson, all of the artists that he worked with back in the 60s and 70s and the 80s. He's been around for a very long time. I think he's 92 or 93 years old. But just looking at him when he was about 30, 40 years younger, to me, he gave off a very eerie vibe just by looking at him alone. So that's a good point. You know, of course, Diddy got it from somewhere. But, you know, as far as him saying we can't point the finger, I feel like we can point the finger because you don't have to continue to do what was done to you. You know, as in Diddy, as in other people who like became predators in the industry. They choose to continue to be that way regardless of what happened to them when they were on the come up. Regardless of the rooms that they've been in and the things that they did, they choose to do it to younger artists. They choose to make it something where if you don't do this, then you don't enter this secret door. Just like he was talking about the secret doors in the industry, where some people like Diddy are able to get contracts, are able to get money for albums that other producers and other execs can't get unless they are a part of that secret door, unless they have participated. And that reminds me of Baby and Cash Money. It also reminds me of Master P, because Master P and Baby are two of, I think, the only two to ever get the deals that they got for their labels. Baby himself, he's the only one in hip hop history to ever where Cash Money and Baby gets 90% and the label only gets 10%. They used to cut him $250 million checks. That's why that whole thing he had with Lil Wayne, Wayne was like, Baby could have easily paid me all the money that he owed me. And I think Master P had a 80-20 split. So to me, that's a prime example of people doing certain things in order to get those kind of deals. And I remember when somebody asked Baby how was he able to achieve that, he just said he kept it street. As a young dude, he kept it street. Of course, he's not going to tell you how he really was able to achieve a 90-10% deal, something that is unheard of in the industry.
You owned all your masters, all your music
till the day,
to 90-10 split. If anybody understands what that is, that the record label only get a small percentage, and you own everything. How did you do that?
Just coming with the street mentality, but I just felt like as a young man, you know, I lost so many people in my life, though. I didn't feel like a record label deserved to have something they didn't.
My split with Universal is a 9-10. Ain't a nigga in the industry, you can't have, y'all don't give a fuck who you get up here. They ain't gonna never say, I get 90%, they get 10%. Not one nigga, I don't call a nigga up here tomorrow. Find a nigga that can say that. Find a nigga that can tell you that.
I ain't never heard of that myself.
I get 90%, they get 10%, nigga.
To do what though?
To distribute my music.
So you're basically independent.
I am independent.
But they give you a bag to be independent too.
I've been with them 25 years, but I deserve it.
So basically they betting on you. All right, we finna give you this, and we're gonna give you 90%.
Yes, I deserve it. I made $2.5 billion with these people. I've been with them for 24 years, and they gonna give me a deal they never gave no nigga on planet Earth. And I respect it, because I want it. I want to show other niggas how they could do it, and they should do it the same way I did it.
Like I say, you know, I can understand, you know what I'm saying, you know, Baby being able to get Wayne to do that, you know what I'm saying, because fuck, I was brainwashed at one time, you know what I'm saying, I would have did anything the nigga said do, I probably wouldn't have went that far, you know what I'm saying, I probably would have been like, you know, what you tripping off or whatever, but, you know, Shorty ain't don't know no better, you know what I'm saying, whole thing, he don't know no better though. I mean, you know, what could I say? What could I say? I'm trying to give him some credit. At least I'm trying to, you know what I'm saying, say he ain't know no better. Fuck.
Yeah, a lot of niggas hate because I'm in motherfucking rich gang and shit. And you niggas keep trying to test me. Y'all can keep trying to test me. Keep trying to see if I'm under the 5 and shit. But anyway, yeah, I was on Media Takeout on World Star and shit. Yeah, Birdman fucked me. He fucked me in the ass for the deal.
So that's exactly basically what Suge Knight was talking about. You know, but I think as far as what we've been talking about on the channel, him, you know, bringing up Clive Davis and Diddy basically being mentored by him and turned into a monster, you know, because I can't say who Diddy was when he first entered into the game. You know, I think we were all babies, you know, as far as the people around my generation. So, you know, I thought that was a good point in that clip that he talked about, because it, at the end of the day, it is something where you have to look at the people or the generation before and how they're still handing down this predator trauma, you know, like things that they continue to do in the industry. We already know what that world is about, right? So we're going to move on to the next clip that I wanted y'all to hear, and I'm going to come back, discuss that one, and wrap this video up. Check this out.
There's no puzzle. Me and Puffy, not friends, never will be friends.
Okay.
And damn sure ain't scared of him. I ain't scared of nobody but God. It's not about I'm protecting him. I'm going to tell the truth. I'm not going to, I know a lot of stuff is true that he been got caught doing, but I'm not going to tell you something I wasn't in the room. If I was in a room with that motherfucker, you shouldn't be talking to me, because if you was in a room with Diddy, I wouldn't be talking to you. If he was in there and he was telling you, take that, take that, take that, take that. You think me and you gonna be conversating? I'm like, no. At the end of the day, you know, shit, I believe in what I believe in. Once said twice, don't say it at all, you know. But whatever you want to ask me, I'm gonna let you finish asking the question, because I'm here because I love the fact what you guys are doing, because it's a way that we can communicate, and not only does it build hip hop, we can build the world, or United States. I can't even go to the next countries. I can only go on in my backyard, and I'm a part of this. You know?
And Suge, I appreciate that. Suge, for somebody that's the hip hop world today, to be able to do what a lot of these executives did that taught somebody like Diddy, is that even possible today? Meaning, did social media fully eliminate that business model where the next generation of young talent are now protected?
No, nobody's protected yet. But that's okay. We're going to talk about Puffy. All right, listen to this. There was a guy named Barry Gordy, and you know who Barry Gordy is.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I went in the room with Barry Gordy, but everybody knew that Barry Gordy hits both sides of the fence, they always say. So Barry Gordy was a guy who had the Jackson 5, who eventually conned Michael Jackson, because Joe Jackson was a Jehovah's Witness, and they say, Michael, you come hang with us, you can get toys. They might got Michael some more than toys. Then there was Quincy Jones with Michael. And you know exactly where I'm going with this. Next thing you know, Michael Jackson, allegedly, they said he started partying with younger boys. So where did Michael Jackson get it from? And you know, you wouldn't have a problem to say, Barry Gordy was touching on Michael Jackson. You wouldn't have a problem to say that Quincy Jones was touching on Michael Jackson. And you wouldn't have a problem to say that Michael Jackson was touching on the little boys. But what the problem come in at, and we start talking about the Clyde Davidsons and the other people, and it goes down to Puffy, that's where the buck stops at. Shit, Puffy the black-ass sacrificial lamb. You know, at the end of the day, Puffy that's me, I think, to them. Shit, they ain't tripping. But if you don't stop the cycle, it's going to keep happening. Somebody need to go visit Usher right now. Say, Usher, it's not too late for you. We know you hit a few other guys you brought on, but it's not too late for them either. But at some point, you got to stop the head, or it's going to keep creating, going down. The shit goes down.
Y'all, only if we can imagine what they did to Michael Jackson when he was a child. Suge Knight basically just told us, which we already know a lot of this stuff. You know, I did a video on Michael Jackson. They passed him around. Barry Gordy, Quincy Jones. Oh my God. I've already told y'all, if you sit on Quincy Jones' couch, we already know what you did to get there. Maybe not this old Quincy Jones, but just look at Quincy Jones and Michael in this picture. Look at that little grin on him. Y'all, Quincy Jones, y'all remember, I think the biggest line we ever heard about Quincy Jones was Tupac saying Quincy Jones tried to hit him in the rear. That audio was scrubbed off the internet completely. I've never found it ever since I knew about it. So much about Quincy Jones, Will Smith, all these gatekeepers, all these people who brought these guys into the industry and basically turned them out. But they got Michael Jackson when he was a kid. Y'all, the man turned himself white. So much trauma, he turned himself white. Which I'm pretty sure he probably was coached to do that. They probably told him to. You'll sell more records. Can't beat a little brown boy, Michael Jackson. I can't imagine the trauma Michael Jackson got as a kid. And it's true. It turned him into maybe even a predator himself. But, you know, I think, didn't he get fully acquitted, if I'm not mistaken? I think he was fully acquitted from it. But there's still a lot of question left to, was he really touching and, molesting little boys and seducing them in Neverland? Going about it in like a very much Predator style, that whole little documentary, Leaving Neverland. There's a lot of questions when it comes to what Michael Jackson went through. There's a lot to be talked about in that case, because he suffered at the hands of the people that brought him into the industry as well. Tommy Mottola, as he was older. Now, we all know Michael Jackson is long and gone, dead and gone. But it doesn't change, where these people came from, who introduced them into this lifestyle. Whether or not these people had it in them, and, something about them just wasn't right from the beginning. Speaking of Diddy, Michael Jackson, Birdman, all the people who are like accused of doing stuff with underage girls, underage boys, maybe something was thrown off about them from the beginning. Or, maybe they were seduced to that lifestyle, and this is just who they became in order to continue the life that they had. Maybe they got used to it. Maybe it became something that they liked, I don't know. Because you can go into how Michael Jackson was a channeler. Michael Jackson channeled spirits. Michael Jackson became, he embodied it. He said it himself. He used to write his songs and get his best songs in his sleep. He was channeling spirits. He was taught that. He studied that. That 777, Aleister Crowley, he ended up studying that stuff. So this is not us just saying that it happened and this is who they became, just because they went through stuff as a child. They actually continued it. That's why I said we can point the finger, because it's like they embodied it and then they took it to another level. I think one of the pastors on YouTube said it the best about Michael Jackson. I think it was Craig G. Lewis. He did a really good segment on Michael. The Corey Bond spirits that made him dance the way that he did. I talked about it in the video I did on him.
Spirit of affectation. That's the pretender spirit. Webster's defines affectation as a show, a pretense, or display. Behavior that is assumed rather than natural. Artificiality, a particular habit as of speech or dress adopted to give a false impression. Affectation, this is what God told me, y'all, and I'm going to try to give you this and we're going to try to close this out. Affectation is planted into a person through some kind of deficit or traumatic experience that makes them feel the need to be proven with their actions or abilities. Rape, molestation, incest, abandonment, neglect, abuse, or talent affirmations, etc. These things make a person, when they happen to a person, the person feels a need to pretend that they're okay and to show others that they're okay. So rather than coming broken, are y'all listening to me? Rather than coming broken, they put on a false identity. So in their youth, and this usually happens with musicians and people that are talented or have talents, musicians and different ones, people clap and applaud while they're playing. But who they are, nobody affirms. So their talent is always affirmed. But who they are inside, internally, is never affirmed. Then if there's no man there who gives the identity and the affirmation to the child, then he begins to try to use his music or his talent or ability to seek affirmation. That's why right now, the best musicians, the best singers, the best actors, the best folks that's in the spotlight are always perverts. Always perverts. They're always perverted. You know why? Because they were affirmed on the outside, but they were never dealt with on the inside. Fire burns inside me. Boogie got me in a super trance. Blame it on the boogie. Quincy Jones said that when he finished this song, he couldn't stop dancing. He ran out in the street and he was dancing uncontrollably. Oh, I'm not done. I haven't even started. There were 3 ways Michael Jackson would get his songs. You got to hear this part, because I believe this is what led to Michael Jackson's death. I hope they come talk to me about it, because I'll give them some information from the Holy Ghost. I don't need a forensic scientist. Look at somebody and say, all you got to do is ask God. God laid this out to me as plain as day. The 3 ways Michael Jackson got his songs. The first way, Michael Jackson said, he told Martin Brashear on an interview that he would climb a tree called the Given Tree, tree of knowledge. Tree of knowledge. He'd climb this tree and he would get his songs. Second way, Aleister Crowley said in his book, 777, that he had a room of mirrors, and if you look into a mirror, you can look into yourself and you can channel the spirits of those that were before you. He's really saying that those that may have molested you or those that may have taken from you, you can bring them back and ask them to be your guide and tell you why they did what they did to you. So Michael Jackson created a mirror, a room of mirrors, that he could go in and channel spirits. And Michael Jackson chose a specific spirit. He says this, he says, I have my own secret room with a moving wall and mirrors, okay? Same room that Aleister Crowley had. He says, this is where I talk to Liberace. I hear his voice in there. I feel his presence so very close to me. He's like my guardian angel. He even gave me permission to record his title, I'll Be Seeing You. That's in the Psychic News in 1987. Liberace? Homosexual. Flamboyant homosexual. You channel the spirit of the most flamboyant homosexual of our time? And the third way is the way I believe Michael Jackson died. He said that his best songs came in dreams. Michael Jackson would channel Morpheus, the god of dreams, who studied under Serapis Bey. Serapis Bey is the image that Catholics use as the image of Christ, but it's not. He has the Ra, the sun god, behind his head. He looks just like Christ, but it's not, just like Semiramis and Nimrod, that whole thing I told you about earlier. But he was an Egyptian incarnated God, so he would channel those spirits. He also channeled the spirits of hypnos.
It's amazing stuff. But y'all, this is who these people are, and that's the industry that we've been watching for so long. And, you know, I thought Suge Knight, you know, he made some really good points, very valid. And I just wanted to cover it and get y'all opinions on that. I'm gonna go too deep into it, make this whole thing about Michael, you know, because I did do a video on him and we talked about a lot of this stuff. That video is still up, man. So I appreciate y'all for watching this video. Hope y'all enjoyed it. Let me know what y'all think in the comments. And with that being said, y'all, it's Black Balloon, and I'm gonna see y'all soon. I'm out.